The waiting was the hardest part. Nicole and her delegation sat in their quarters for 6 hours, while the Galactic Council debated humanity's fate. She tried to stay calm, tried to project confidence, but inside her mind ran through every possible outcome. Sam paced like a caged animal. Kevin practiced alien phrases under his breath, a nervous habit. Rachel stared at samples of alien technology she had been given, trying to understand how it worked. The 2 soldiers stood by the door, silent and ready. "What do you think they're saying in there?" Kevin asked. "Probably arguing about whether to accept us or destroy us," Sam said bluntly. "Thank you for that comforting thought," Nicole said dryly. Finally, a message came through. Supreme Arbiter Kelthus requested Nicole's presence. Alone. "I don't like it," Sam said immediately. "It could be a trap." "Then I walk into the trap," Nicole said. "We came here to negotiate. Can't do that from hiding." She followed a small floating robot through the station's corridors. They didn't go to the council chamber. Instead, Kelthus waited in a smaller room, one with windows that looked out at the stars. He stood with his back to the door, his massive frame silhouetted against the starlight. "Ambassador Stevens," he said without turning around, "do you know how long I've led the council?" 300 years, according to our research, Nicole said. 342 years, Kelthus corrected. He finally turned to face her. "In that time, I've welcomed 30 species into the council. Some joined peacefully. Others were conquered. A few were destroyed because they couldn't be controlled. But all of them followed the same pattern. They recognized council authority. They accepted their place in the hierarchy. They submitted. And humanity won't," Nicole said quietly. "No," Kelthus agreed. "You won't. I knew that the moment I saw the combat footage. The way your ship fought, the way your commander refused to surrender even when outnumbered. Humanity would rather die than submit. That makes you dangerous." Nicole felt her heart beating faster. "Is that why you asked me here? To tell me the council voted to destroy us?" Kelthus made a sound that might have been a sigh. "The vote was not unanimous. Many council members argued for immediate military action. Others wanted strict quarantine. Some even suggested we should simply ignore you and hope the problem goes away. But," Nicole prompted, "but I convinced enough of them to try something different. To accept your proposal, with conditions." Nicole felt a surge of hope but kept her expression neutral. "What conditions?" Kelthus walked to a table and activated a holographic display. It showed documents written in multiple languages, including English. "First, you will allow council inspectors to visit Earth. They will observe your military capabilities, your technology, your society. This is standard procedure for all new members." Nicole nodded. "Acceptable. We have nothing to hide. Second, you will limit military expansion for 5 years. During that time, you may maintain your current fleet, but not significantly expand it. This gives both sides time to build trust." Nicole frowned. "That puts us at a disadvantage. What if someone attacks Earth during those 5 years?" "The Council will guarantee Earth security," Kelthus said. "Any attack on a member world is treated as an attack on the Council itself. You'll have the protection of our combined fleet." "And the third condition?" Nicole asked, knowing there had to be more. Kelthus's expression grew serious. "You will share the technical specifications of your kinetic weapons. Your railguns. The Council needs to develop defensive countermeasures. We can't have one species possessing an unbeatable advantage." Nicole shook her head immediately. "No, that's our primary defense. We're not giving that away." "Then we have no agreement," Kelthus said flatly. They stared at each other. Nicole's mind raced. This was the critical moment. Give in and humanity loses its advantage. Refuse and the negotiation fails. She needed a middle ground. "Counteroffer," she said. "We don't share specifications, but we collaborate on defensive research. Work together to develop shields that can handle kinetic impacts. Your scientists and ours sharing knowledge equally. We both benefit and neither side gets an unbeatable advantage." Kelthus was silent for a long moment. His 4 eyes studied her carefully. "You're a skilled negotiator, Ambassador. Very well. I'll present that modification to the Council. One more thing," Nicole said. "In exchange for these conditions, we want full voting rights immediately. Not after a probationary period. We join as equals from day one." "Ambitious," Kelthus said, but there was respect in his voice. "That will be difficult to arrange." "But possible?" Nicole pressed. "Possible," Kelthus admitted. "Wait here." He left, and Nicole was alone with her thoughts. Had she pushed too hard? Asked for too much? Or had she finally found the balance between strength and diplomacy? 20 minutes later, Kelthus returned. The Council has accepted your modifications. Humanity will be granted full membership with immediate voting rights. In exchange, you accept inspections, limit military growth for 5 years, and collaborate on defensive research. Nicole felt relief wash over her. Then we have an agreement. Kelthus extended his massive hand. Nicole shook it, noting how carefully he controlled his strength. He could have crushed her hand easily, but he didn't. It was, she realized, his way of showing respect. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Ambassador Stevens, Kelthus said, though I suspect you will make things far more interesting than they've been in centuries. That's the human way, Nicole said with a slight smile. We don't do boring. 6 months later, Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as Earth's first diplomatic station was completed in orbit around the moon. It was a massive structure designed to host representatives from dozens of species, a symbol that humanity was now part of something larger. Sir, incoming message from Ambassador Stevens, Amy reported from communications. Put her through, Jake said. Nicole's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but happy. Commander Morrison, how's the Defiance holding up? Good as new, Jake replied. Better, actually. We integrated some Council shield technology. Upgraded the engines. We're faster and tougher than before. Excellent, because I have a mission for you if you're interested. Jake raised an eyebrow. What kind of mission? The Council is forming a joint task force to deal with pirates in the outer territories. They want to see how human military doctrine works in coalition operations. I recommended you to lead the human contingent. Working alongside alien crews? Jake asked. That's the idea. Build trust. Learn from each other. Show the galaxy that humanity can be a team player when necessary. Jake looked at his crew. Amy was grinning. Greg gave an enthusiastic thumbs up. The others nodded eagerly. They had trained for war, but maybe they could help build peace instead. We're interested, Jake said, but we do things our way. I wouldn't expect anything less, Nicole said. Earth Command will send you the details. And Commander, thank you for what you did out there, for defending the Defiance and buying us time to negotiate. You gave humanity a chance. Just doing my job, ma'am, Jake said. The transmission ended. Jake turned to his crew. Well, you heard the Ambassador. We've got a new mission. Greg, start preparing tactical scenarios for coalition operations. Amy, reach out to Council Command and establish communication protocols. Everyone else, get ready. We're going to show the galaxy what humans can do. As the Defiance moved away from Earth, heading toward the rendezvous point where they would meet their alien counterparts, Jake felt a sense of purpose. The galaxy hadn't been ready for humanity. But humanity had forced the issue, refused to be ignored, demanded to be treated as equals. It hadn't been easy. The fight with the Zelthari could have gone wrong. The negotiations could have failed. Earth could have faced invasion or destruction. But through a combination of strength, innovation, and stubborn refusal to submit, humanity had earned its place among the stars. Back on Earth, President Laura Bennett watched the news coverage of the diplomatic station's completion. The public knew now. Knew about aliens, knew about the Council, knew that Earth was no longer alone. The reaction had been mixed, fear and excitement in equal measure. But humanity was adapting as it always did. In the shipyards above Earth, construction continued on the new fleet. 50 ships as promised. Not warships officially. Exploration vessels. Defense platforms. But everyone knew what they really were. Insurance. A guarantee that Earth would never again be helpless if negotiations failed. The galaxy had rules about how species should behave, about who got to make decisions, about power and hierarchy. But humanity had never been good at following other people's rules. They preferred to make their own. Supreme Arbiter Kelthus had been right about one thing. Humanity would make the galaxy more interesting, more unpredictable, more innovative. Whether that was good or bad remained to be seen, but the galaxy wasn't ready for what came next. Because humans had a saying, one that every species in the Council would soon learn. Give humanity an inch and they'll take a mile. Give them a challenge and they'll exceed all expectations. Give them a reason to fight and they'll never stop. But give them a reason to cooperate and they might just change the universe. The galaxy had reluctantly opened its doors to humanity. Now it would discover what that really meant. Ambassador Nicole Stevens stood in the airlock of the UNS Horizon, watching through the small window as the massive space station grew larger. It was like nothing she had ever seen. A giant wheel spinning slowly in the darkness, its surface covered with lights and structures that seemed to grow from the metal itself. Dozens of ships were docked at various ports, each one designed by a different species with different ideas about what a spacecraft should look like. "You ready for this?" asked Colonel Sam Rodriguez. He stood beside her, dressed in a formal military uniform that had been designed specifically for this meeting. He was her military advisor, chosen because he knew when to fight and when to walk away. "No," Nicole said honestly, "but I don't think anyone could be ready for this." She had been a diplomat for 15 years, negotiating treaties and agreements between nations on Earth. She had dealt with difficult leaders, hostile governments, and impossible situations. But this was different. This was first contact with an entire galactic civilization. One wrong word could start a war. One mistake could doom humanity. The Horizon wasn't a warship. It was barely armed, designed for speed and diplomacy rather than combat. Its crew of 40 included diplomats, scientists, linguists, and soldiers. All volunteers, all aware they might not come home. "Remember the briefing," Sam said quietly. "These aliens will try to establish dominance through protocol. Where you stand, how you speak, what you wear, everything matters." "I know," Nicole said. She had studied the reports from the Zelthari computers for weeks. The Galactic Council had thousands of rules about diplomatic conduct. Breaking those rules could be interpreted as an insult or a threat. "Just be yourself," Sam added. "That's what President Bennett said. Show them humanity isn't going to bow down." The airlock cycled open with a soft hiss. Beyond was a corridor that connected to the station. The walls were smooth and metallic, glowing with soft light. The air smelled strange, like ozone mixed with something organic. Nicole took a deep breath and stepped forward. Her small delegation followed. Beside Sam, there was Kevin Walsh, a linguist who had learned 3 alien languages in the past month. There was Dr. Rachel Kim, a xenobiologist who understood alien physiology, and there were 2 soldiers, silent and watchful. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. Nicole stopped, unable to help herself. The room was enormous, easily 200 feet high. The walls curved up and away, covered in screens and displays showing star systems and alien writing. And waiting for them was a reception committee. Supreme Arbiter Kelthus stood at the center, flanked by 24 representatives from different species. He was massive, easily 9 feet tall, with 4 eyes and gray skin that looked thick as armor. But his expression seemed friendly, or at least not hostile. "Ambassador Stevens," Kelthus said. His voice came through a small device Nicole wore in her ear, translating his words into English. "Welcome to the Galactic Council. We have much to discuss." Nicole stepped forward, keeping her head high. She didn't bow, didn't show any sign of submission. President Bennett's orders had been clear. Go as equals, not as supplicants. "Thank you for receiving us, Supreme Arbiter," Nicole said. She had practiced the pronunciation of his title dozens of times. "Though I wish our first meeting had been under better circumstances." "As do we all," Kelthus said. He gestured with one massive arm. "Please follow me. We have prepared quarters for your delegation. You must be tired from your journey." As they walked through the station, Nicole observed everything. The architecture was elegant but practical. Species of all types moved through the corridors. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others slithered or floated or moved in ways that didn't make sense. Guards were posted at regular intervals, their weapons holstered but visible. "Your ship is quite impressive," Kelthus said conversationally. "The Horizon. A name that suggests looking forward, seeking new things." "That's the human way," Nicole said. "We're curious by nature. We like to explore, to learn, to grow. And to fight, apparently," said another voice. Nicole turned to see a being made of pure light standing nearby. High Scholar Minara of the Celestine Accord. Her voice came from speakers since she had no mouth. "We fight when necessary," Nicole said calmly. "We prefer peace, but we won't accept slavery or domination." "Strong words," Minara said. Her light patterns shifted to aggressive reds. "You speak as though you have power here. You're one species. We are 47. You have one solar system. We have thousands." "Numbers aren't everything," Nicole replied. "We've learned that through our own history. Sometimes one determined person can change the world, or one determined species can change the galaxy." Kelthus made a sound that might have been a laugh. I see why you were chosen, Ambassador. You don't frighten easily. I'm terrified, Nicole admitted. But being scared doesn't mean giving up. It means being careful while moving forward. They reached a suite of rooms that had been prepared for the human delegation. The spaces were large and comfortable, with adjustable furniture and life support systems that could be modified for different species. Rest tonight, Kelthus said. Tomorrow we will begin formal negotiations. The Council is eager to understand humanity's intentions. After he left, Sam immediately began checking the rooms for surveillance devices. Kevin started analyzing the translation software for any bias or errors. Rachel examined the air quality and life support systems. Nicole walked to a window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 8 light-years away, was Earth, home. If these negotiations failed, Earth might face invasion, might face destruction. We found 12 listening devices, Sam reported. Standard surveillance. Nothing harmful. Leave them, Nicole said. We have nothing to hide. That night, Nicole couldn't sleep. She kept going over her prepared statements, thinking about every possible scenario. What if the Council demanded Earth surrender all its weapons? What if they insisted on occupation? What if they simply refused to negotiate and attacked Earth instead? The next morning, she was led to the Council chamber itself. It was even more impressive than the receiving room, a vast amphitheater with seats for hundreds of representatives. At the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the full Council. Nicole walked to that platform, feeling the eyes of dozens of alien species on her. Some looked curious. Some looked hostile. Most looked skeptical, as though they couldn't believe this primitive human thought she had anything worth saying. Kelthus sat in a large chair at the highest point in the chamber. Ambassador Stevens, you requested this opportunity to address the Council. We are listening. Nicole activated the holographic display she had brought. Images appeared in the air around her, showing Earth's history. The images cycled through human achievement and human failure, wars and peace, art and science, everything that made humanity what it was. You see us as primitives, Nicole began, as a species that should stay on its planet until you decide we're ready. But we see ourselves differently. We see survivors. For 100,000 years, humans have faced impossible challenges. Ice ages that should have killed us. Diseases that should have wiped us out. Wars that should have destroyed our civilization. And every time we adapted, we learn. We survived, she gestured, and the images changed to show human technology. You have faster-than-light travel. So do we. You have energy shields. So do we. You have weapons. So do we. But we developed all of this independently, without help, without guidance. We figured it out ourselves because that's what humans do. We solve problems. You also make war, said Ambassador Trell, the reptilian Korvax representative. Your history is full of conflict and violence. Yes, Nicole agreed. We've fought wars, terrible wars, but we learned from them. We grew. The nations of Earth that once tried to destroy each other now work together. We have problems, but we solve them through cooperation, not domination. Then why did you violate the quarantine? Minara demanded. Why did you send a warship into Council space? We didn't know about your quarantine, Nicole said. We detected alien signals and went to investigate. We sent a ship capable of defending itself because we didn't know what we would find. That turned out to be a good decision. The Zilthari attacked us without warning, without negotiation. They gave us a choice between slavery and death. We chose neither. The chamber erupted in arguments. Species debated with each other in dozens of languages, the translation software struggling to keep up. Kelthus raised one massive hand, calling for silence. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? Nicole took a deep breath. This was the moment everything depended on. We propose membership in the Galactic Council. Not as a vassal species, not as primitives waiting for approval. As equals. We share our technology, you share yours. We contribute to Council defense, you respect our sovereignty. We become partners, not subjects. The silence that followed was absolute. No species had ever made such a demand. The Council didn't negotiate with primitives. They gave orders. They expected obedience. This is unprecedented, Kelthus said finally. Then maybe it's time for something new, Nicole said. Your council has existed for 10,000 years. That's impressive. But how much have you really grown in that time? How much innovation has happened? From what I've seen, you advance by absorbing other species' knowledge. Supreme Arbiter Kelthus watched the recording for the 5th time. His 4 eyes tracked every detail, analyzing every movement of the human ship. The other council members sat in silence around the enormous chamber, waiting for him to speak. The chamber itself was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, deep in neutral space where no single species could claim home advantage. It had served as the council's meeting place for over 3,000 years. The walls were lined with screens showing star maps and military reports. 47 species had representatives here, each one a voice in the most powerful organization the galaxy had ever known. Kelthus was Vryn, a species that had led the council through strength and careful planning. His people were large and powerful, with thick gray skin that could stop bullets. They had brought stability to the galaxy when chaos threatened to tear it apart. But watching this recording made Kelthus feel something he hadn't felt in centuries. Uncertainty. "Play it again," he said. "Slow it down when the human weapon fires." The technician, a small crystalline being named Voss, manipulated the controls. The hologram in the center of the chamber showed the battle in perfect detail. The 3 Zelthari cruisers surrounded the human vessel. They issued their demands. The human refused. Then the weapons fired. "Freeze there," Kelthus ordered. The image stopped, showing the moment the human weapon discharged. It didn't look like much. A brief flash of light. But the results were devastating. The Zelthari cruiser was there one moment, gone the next. "What exactly did we just watch?" asked High Scholar Minara. She was Celestine, a being made of pure energy held together by complex fields. Her voice came through speakers, and she had no mouth to speak with. Her light patterns showed confusion and worry. "A kinetic weapon," Voss explained. His crystalline body clicked and chimed as he gestured toward the frozen image. "The humans are using mass drivers. Railguns, they call them. They accelerate solid projectiles to extreme velocities using magnetic fields." "Primitive," scoffed Ambassador Trell. He was Korvax, reptilian, and proud. His species controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes. "We abandoned such crude weapons millennia ago." "Primitive, perhaps," Voss said, "but effective. Our shields are designed to disperse energy, heat plasma lasers. We spread the force over a wide area, but a solid object moving at near light speed, the shields do nothing. The projectile just punches through." The chamber filled with murmuring voices. Species that rarely agreed on anything were united in their shock. "How did we miss this?" demanded General Krax of the Vorthan Empire. His mechanical body clanked as he stood, his augmented arms crossed. "Our surveys said these humans were primitive. Chemical rockets, barely past nuclear fission. How did they develop faster than light travel and weapons that can destroy our cruisers?" "The surveys were done 40 years ago," Kelthus said calmly. "Species can advance quickly when properly motivated. 40 years from chemical rockets to this?" Krax didn't sound convinced. "Impossible." "Clearly not," Minara said, her lights flickering with agitation. "The question now is what we do about it. The Zelthari are demanding immediate action. They want revenge for their lost ships and crew." "The Zelthari attacked first," Kelthus pointed out. "The humans defended themselves." "The humans violated the quarantine," Trell said. "They had no right to be in that sector. The law is clear. Primitive species must remain in their home systems until the Council approves contact." "And who decides what qualifies as primitive?" asked Ambassador Yenna of the Peaceful Collective. She was small and furry, her species known for diplomacy rather than warfare. "These humans clearly have advanced technology. Perhaps our classification was wrong." The argument went back and forth. Some wanted immediate military action. Others urged caution. A few suggested simply ignoring the humans and reinforcing the quarantine. But Kelthus kept watching the recording, his mind working through scenarios. "Tell me about their ship," he said to Voss. The crystalline engineer brought up new images, technical scans of the human vessel from every angle. "It's smaller than our cruisers, but well designed. The hull is composed of layered armor, multiple materials that seem designed to absorb different types of damage. The power source is unusual. They appear to be using controlled microsingularities, small black holes essentially, contained by magnetic fields. The energy output is remarkable for something that size." "And their faster-than-light system?" Kelthus asked. "That's where it gets interesting," Voss said, his body chiming with excitement despite the serious situation. "They're not using dimensional folding like we do. Instead, they seem to be manipulating space-time directly, creating a bubble of compressed and expanded space around their ship. It's less efficient than our method, but it works. And more importantly, it's completely different from our technology, which means they developed it independently, Kelthus said slowly. No borrowed knowledge, no stolen designs. They figured it out themselves. So what? Krax demanded. They're still just one species with one ship. We have thousands of vessels across hundreds of systems. If they won't submit to Council authority, we destroy them. With what casualties? Kelthus asked quietly. You saw what one human ship did to 3 Zelthari cruisers. The Zelthari are not weak. Their ships are among the best in the Council fleet. Yet the humans destroyed 2 and drove off the 3rd without taking significant damage. We adapt, Minara said. We upgrade our shields to handle kinetic impacts. We study their technology and develop countermeasures. Then we enforce the quarantine properly. That will take time, Kelthus said. Months, maybe years. And what do the humans do during that time? Build more ships? Develop better weapons? They've already shown they can innovate. What happens when they turn that innovation toward warfare? The chamber fell silent. It was the question nobody wanted to answer. Kelthus stood, his massive frame commanding attention. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years by being stronger than any potential threat. But strength isn't just military power. It's also wisdom, knowing when to fight and when to negotiate. You want to negotiate with them. Krax sounded disgusted. I want to understand them, Kelthus corrected. Every species we've encountered has fit certain patterns. Some are peaceful. Some are aggressive. But all of them eventually accepted their place in the Council's hierarchy. These humans interest me because they don't seem to fit any of our patterns. What do you mean? Yenna asked. Kelthus gestured to the frozen image of the battle. Watch carefully. After destroying the 2nd ship, the humans could have pursued the 3rd. They had time. They had the weapon charged. They could have eliminated all witnesses. But they didn't. They let the last ship escape. Mercy, Trell suggested. Or strategy, Minara countered. They wanted survivors to report back. To spread fear, perhaps, Kelthus said. Or perhaps they simply didn't want to kill unless necessary. The point is we don't know. We don't understand their motivations, their culture, their goals, and that makes them unpredictable. He turned to face the full council. I propose we send a diplomatic envoy, not a military force, not an ultimatum. A proper diplomatic mission to establish contact and learn what these humans want. And if they want what every ambitious species wants, Trell asked. Territory, resources, power? Then we'll deal with it, Kelthus said. But let's not assume hostility before we have evidence. The humans didn't seek out that confrontation. They were exploring, and the Zelthari attacked them. By our own laws, they had the right to defend themselves. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued for immediate military action. Others supported Kelthus's diplomatic approach. A few wanted to simply ignore the situation and hope it resolved itself. Finally, they voted. The result was narrow but clear. The council would send an envoy. Who will lead this mission? Minara asked. Someone experienced, Kelthus said. Someone who understands that diplomacy isn't about dominance. It's about finding common ground. As the council dispersed, Kelthus remained behind, staring at the image of the human warship. Something about it bothered him. The design was efficient, elegant even. But there was something else. A sense of purpose, of determination. The humans had built this ship knowing they might face superior forces. They had armed it with weapons designed to overcome technological advantages. They had crewed it with people willing to die far from home. That spoke to something deeper than simple exploration. It spoke to a species that refused to be controlled. A species that would rather fight impossible odds than submit. Kelthus hoped his decision to pursue diplomacy was the right one. Because if it wasn't, the galaxy was about to enter its first major war in 3,000 years. And this time, the outcome was far from certain. President Laura Bennett sat at the head of the table in the Situation Room, 300 feet below the White House. The room was packed with advisors, generals, scientists, and intelligence officers. Everyone looked tired. They had been meeting for 6 hours straight, ever since the Defiant sent its emergency transmission. On the main screen, Commander Jake Morrison's face looked grim but steady. The video link was encrypted, bounced through relay stations across half the solar system. Even with faster-than-light communication, there was a noticeable delay. Commander Morrison, Laura said carefully, tell me one more time exactly what happened. Jake took a deep breath. 3 alien warships intercepted us in what they called Quarantine Zone 773. They identified themselves as Zeltari, part of something called the Galactic Council. They ordered us to surrender immediately. When we refused, they powered up weapons and prepared to fire. We defended ourselves. 2 enemy ships were destroyed. The third retreated. Casualties on our side? Asked General Karen Wells, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Minor injuries. Some burns from overheated systems. Nothing serious. The ship took some damage, but nothing we can't repair. Laura looked around the table. Recommendations? Secretary of Defense Carlos Martinez spoke first. The Defiance proved our technology works. Our weapons can defeat theirs. We need to accelerate production. Build more ships as fast as possible. That's a military solution, countered Dr. Henry Park, the science advisor. He was a small man with thick glasses and a permanent worried expression. We can't fight the entire galaxy. According to the data we captured from those alien ships, this Galactic Council has 47 member species. They control thousands of star systems. We have 1 solar system and exactly 1 combat-capable ship. 1 ship that destroyed 2 of theirs, Karen pointed out. Through surprise, Henry said. They didn't expect our weapons to work the way they do. Once they adapt, that advantage disappears. Then what? We can't outbuild them. We can't outman them. Our only hope is diplomacy. Diplomacy with people who tried to kill our crew? Carlos asked. The Zelthari attacked, Henry said. That doesn't mean every species in this council is hostile. We need more information before we make decisions that might doom Earth. Laura turned to Director Lisa Chang, who ran the National Intelligence Agency. What do we know about this Galactic Council? Lisa pulled up a holographic display in the center of the table. Images and data cascaded through the air. We pulled this from the Zelthari computers before Commander Morrison retreated. It's incomplete, but we're getting a picture. The Council has existed for roughly 10,000 years. It's a bureaucratic organization with multiple power centers. The Vryn Dominion provides military leadership. The Celestine Accord handles scientific advancement. The Korvax Union manages trade and economics. 47 species, Laura repeated. That's a lot of potential enemies. Or potential allies, Henry said. These species didn't all join willingly. Some were conquered. Others joined for protection or economic benefits. It's not a unified empire. It's more like the United Nations, but galactic scale. The UN doesn't threaten to destroy countries that don't join, Carlos muttered. Actually, history shows otherwise, Henry said. Economic sanctions, military interventions, political pressure. The methods are different, but the principle is the same. Join or face consequences. Laura drummed her fingers on the table, thinking. She had been president for 2 years, dealing with climate change, economic crises, and political conflicts. But nothing had prepared her for this. First contact with aliens, and not peaceful contact, combat. Here's what we know, she said slowly. 1, we're not alone in the universe. 2, the galaxy has rules we didn't know about. 3, someone decided we should stay on Earth until they said otherwise. 4, we just announced to everyone that we don't take orders well. A few people smiled at that. Laura didn't. The situation was too serious. General Wells, Laura said. How fast can we build more ships? Karen pulled up her own display. With normal construction schedules. 10 years to get a fleet of 20 ships. But if we go to emergency protocols, redirect resources, and use every shipyard in orbit, we could have 50 ships operational in 2 years. 50 ships, Laura repeated. Against thousands. 50 ships they can't defend against easily, Karen said. At least not yet. Our railguns give us an advantage. So does our different approach to faster-than-light travel. They'll be studying our technology right now, trying to figure out countermeasures. We need to build as many ships as possible before they solve that puzzle. And the cost? Laura asked. Massive, Karen admitted. We'd have to divert resources from everything else. Education, healthcare, infrastructure. Everything becomes secondary to ship construction. Laura looked at Henry. You still think we should try diplomacy first? I think we should try diplomacy while building ships, Henry said. We show strength, but we also show willingness to talk. Most conflicts in history happen because of misunderstanding. Maybe these aliens think we're aggressive primitives. Maybe we can change their minds. Or maybe they'll see diplomacy as weakness, Carlos said. Maybe the only language they respect is force. We won't know until we try, Henry said. Laura made her decision. We do both. General Wells, start the emergency ship construction program. I want 50 vessels operational in 2 years. But keep it quiet. No public announcements. No press releases. As far as the public knows, we're expanding our space exploration program. Understood, Karen said. Laura turned to Henry. Prepare a diplomatic package. Everything we want these aliens to know about humanity. Our history, our culture, our values. But nothing that gives away military secrets or technological advantages. What about sending actual diplomats? Henry asked. We'll prepare for that, Laura said. But first we need to know more. Lisa, what else did we learn from those alien computers? Lisa manipulated the display. The Zeltari were part of a patrol. They were following standard protocols for dealing with primitive species. According to their records, they've encountered hundreds of species over the centuries. Most submit. A few resist and get destroyed. None have ever successfully defended themselves like we did. So we're unique, Carlos said. That makes us either very valuable or very dangerous. Probably both, Lisa said. The Council operates on a hierarchy. Advanced species at the top, primitive ones at the bottom. They classify species by technology level, culture, and perceived threat. We were classified as level 2, barely past Industrial Revolution. That classification is obviously wrong now. What happens when they reclassify us? Laura asked. Lisa's expression was troubled. Unknown. But based on the data, species that advance too quickly get flagged for special attention. Sometimes that means accelerated integration into the Council. Other times it means quarantine or elimination. The room was quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. So our options are submit, hide, or fight, Laura said. Or negotiate, Henry insisted. Create a fourth option. Show them we're advanced enough to be equals, not subjects. Laura stood, walking to the window that overlooked the command center. Hundreds of people worked at stations down there, coordinating Earth's first real defense against alien attack. 6 months ago, this facility didn't exist. 6 months ago, humanity thought the universe was empty. How wrong they had been. Commander Morrison, Laura said, turning back to the screen. You did well out there. You and your crew. You defended humanity against impossible odds and won. But this is just the beginning, Jake nodded. I understand, ma'am. Return to base. Get your ship repaired. We're going to need you again soon. Yes, ma'am. The transmission ended. Laura looked at her advisors. We have 2 years, maybe less. 2 years to build a fleet. 2 years to prepare Earth for what's coming. 2 years to figure out if we can find peace with the galaxy, or if we have to fight for our survival. And if we have to fight? Carlos asked. Laura's expression hardened. Then we fight. Humanity didn't crawl out of caves and survive ice ages and plagues and wars just to surrender to aliens who think they can tell us what to do. We're not going to submit. We're not going to hide. If they want war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. But first we try diplomacy, Henry said hopefully. First we try diplomacy, Laura agreed, while building the biggest, deadliest fleet we possibly can. Because if talking doesn't work, I want options. She looked around the table at the faces of people who would help save humanity or watch it fall. This stays classified. No leaks, no rumors. The public gets told what they need to know when they need to know it. Are we clear? Everyone nodded. Good. Then let's get to work. Dismissed. As the room emptied, Laura remained behind, staring at the star map that dominated one wall. Somewhere out there, 47 alien species were talking about Earth, making decisions about humanity's future. She intended to make sure humans had a voice in those decisions, one way or another. Commander Jake Morrison stood at the center of the bridge, his hands gripped tight behind his back. The view screen showed 3 alien ships closing in from all sides. They were massive things, twice the size of his vessel, their hulls covered in sharp angles and glowing panels. The ships looked like giant insects made of metal and light. Distance? Jake asked, keeping his voice calm. 200,000 kilometers in closing, replied Lieutenant Amy Chen from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls, tracking every movement the alien ships made. Jake had known this moment might come. When Earth built the UNS Defiance and sent it into deep space, everyone understood the risk. Humanity had found evidence of alien life 3 years ago. Radio signals, strange energy readings, proof that Earth was not alone in the universe. But finding proof and meeting aliens face to face were 2 very different things. The bridge was quiet except for the soft beeping of computers. 23 crew members sat at their stations waiting. Some had been soldiers, others were scientists, All of them had volunteered for this mission knowing they might never come home. "Incoming transmission," Amy said. "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The image that appeared made several crew members gasp. The alien had a face that looked like it belonged to an insect. Its eyes were black and multifaceted, reflecting the light in strange ways. When it spoke, its mouth parts moved in ways that seemed impossible. The words came through in perfect English, translated by some technology Jake didn't understand. "Unregistered vessel. You have violated Quarantine Zone 773. Your species was designated pre-contact. Surrender your ship immediately or be destroyed." Jake felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face neutral. He glanced at Lieutenant Commander Greg Palmer, who stood nearby. Greg was a veteran of 3 different wars on Earth. If anyone could keep calm under pressure, it was him. Greg gave a small nod. "This is Commander Morrison of the United Nations Starship Defiance," Jake said clearly. "We're on a peaceful exploration mission. We have no hostile intent toward you or anyone else." The alien's mandibles clicked together. The translation software said it was laughing. "Peaceful. That is what they all say. The Vorash said they were peaceful. We destroyed their home planet. You will power down your weapon systems and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Jake had read the reports Earth's intelligence teams had put together. These aliens called themselves the Zelthari. They were part of something called the Galactic Council, a huge organization that controlled most of the known galaxy. The Council had rules. One of those rules said that primitive species had to stay on their home planets until the Council decided they were ready. Humanity had been labeled primitive. The Council thought Earth was still hundreds of years away from traveling between stars. They were wrong. "We decline your offer," Jake said simply. There was a pause. The Zelthari commander seemed confused. "You decline?" "That's correct. We're going to leave now." "I suggest you don't follow us." The alien's face changed. Its mandibles spread wide in what could only be anger. "You dare refuse? You insignificant creatures have no idea what you face. The Galactic Council has stood for 10,000 years. We have destroyed species more advanced than yours. You will surrender or you will die." The transmission cut off. On the tactical display, all 3 alien ships lit up with weapon signatures. "They're charging weapons," Greg said, moving to the tactical station. "Multiple plasma cannons on each ship. They'll fire in 30 seconds. Shields up," Jake ordered. "Charge the main gun. Target the lead ship." Amy turned in her seat. "Sir, their ships are bigger and more powerful. 3 against 1. The odds aren't good." "I know," Jake said, "but they don't know what we can do. Let's teach them something new." The Defiance had been built using technology that developed differently from the rest of the galaxy. Earth had no access to alien knowledge, no borrowed designs, no shortcuts. Every system on the ship had been invented from scratch by human engineers working with human physics. The weapon system was the best example. While the aliens used plasma and energy beams, Earth had gone in a different direction. The main gun was a railgun, a massive magnetic accelerator that ran along the ship's spine. It used simple physics. Take a chunk of tungsten metal. Accelerate it to a huge fraction of light speed. Let it hit the target. Shields holding, Greg reported as the first plasma bolt struck. The Defiance shook, but the defensive screens absorbed most of the impact. "Return fire," Jake ordered. The railgun fired with a sound that resonated through the entire ship. On the view screen, a streak of light shot across the dark space between the ships. It moved so fast that it was almost impossible to see. The lead Zelthari cruiser never had a chance. Its shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They spread out the heat and force over a large area. But the tungsten slug wasn't energy. It was solid mass moving at incredible speed. The shields might as well have been made of paper. The slug hit the alien ship dead center. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the cruiser simply came apart. Metal vaporized. Systems exploded. The ship became a rapidly expanding cloud of debris and superheated gas. The other 2 Zelthari ships immediately broke formation, moving away from the Defiance as fast as they could. "Target lock on the second ship," Greg said, his voice tight with controlled excitement. "Fire," Jake said. The second shot was just as effective as the first. Another alien cruiser died in a flash of violence. The third ship was already running, its engines pushing it away at maximum speed. "Should we pursue?" Greg asked. Jake shook his head. "No, we made our point. Let them go tell their superiors what happened here." The bridge erupted in cheers. Crew members hugged each other, celebrating their survival and their victory. But Jake didn't join in. He stared at the debris field where 2 alien ships had been moments before. Hundreds of aliens had died in those ships. Maybe thousands. He didn't feel good about that. Amy, open a channel to Earth, he said quietly. Priority 1. We need to report what happened here. Yes, sir. Greg stepped close, speaking in a low voice that only Jake could hear. You did the right thing. They gave us no choice. I know, Jake said. But this changes everything. We just announced to the entire galaxy that humanity is here, and we did it by destroying 2 of their ships. Maybe that's what we needed to do, Greg said. Maybe the only way to get their attention was to hit them hard first. Jake hoped his friend was right. Because if he was wrong, Earth had just started a war it might not be able to win. The Defiance turned slowly, its engines building power for the jump back to human space. Behind it, the debris from the Zelthari ships drifted in the darkness, a message written in destruction. The galaxy had rules about how first contact should happen. Humanity had just broken all of them. And somewhere far away in the halls of the Galactic Council, alarms were beginning to sound.